what I like to do now is kind of take you through some examples. These are live examples. Some of them were, a couple of months ago. Some of them were more recent. But these are actual things that, ways that I use this in real life in my newsletter. One of them, people are always, subscribers are always asking me, hey, what about Tesla? What about Tesla? There was a great Tesla trade that I put in the newsletter in September. And I do have to tell you, I mean, it's set up beautifully. The institutional money flow was coming in unbelievably at that point. And again, we'll talk about that maybe at a later date. But the whole idea is this trade set up from a group standpoint, the auto manufacturers, and then of course the next step down is what's the leadership stock at the time, and the leadership stock at the time by far was Tesla. And so Tesla set up into a great trade in September, and since then, since that run, all I have been seeing is a lot of institutional outflow, and really the industry group has really not been impressive at all either. But at this particular time, it came together. I put this in the newsletter at the time, but the industry group gave a 20-day closing high. Look at the volume that poured into that at that time. This was on September 17th of 2021. Broke a beautiful trend line that marked this whole basing area. And of course, you can see your moving averages were in proper order at the time. So there was your four factors. We're leaving out the whole Fibonacci analysis at this point, but everything was perfectly in sync at that time for the industry group. So what's the next thing? Hey, we've got 60% probability now that the stocks within that group are going to be acting well. And the whole idea now is we got to go to the stock level. We've got to go down to the stock level. And of course, the stock that set up was Tesla. And here's how Tesla set up. Here was the 20-day high on Tesla. What's interesting is the group gave a buy signal on the 17th. Tesla actually gave its signal a few days later on the 24th. It gave the 20-day high. There was your volume, above average volume. That was your spark, rallied up, came off really nice. Of course, we already broke the trend line. I didn't put the moving averages in here, but they were in proper order. And here's where my Fibonacci's came into play here. The ultimate target number was 1123, and it did go a little beyond, and then flirted beyond with the number. But even taking it up to the ultimate number was about a 47% return on this. And really, again, this was all in a matter of about a 1 month period of time on Tesla. And I have to emphasize that really has been the last trade of, Tesla as well as the auto manufacturers, meaning the EVs, have really just looked horrible since that. And so again, that's how the market's treating things right now. Hey, that's what you got to take. That's your trade. We took it up to the Fibonacci numbers. And it was a nice little trade on that. Now, here's what's interesting is, and this is, we're really going to talk a little bit more here about AIQ, because AIQ has an awesome feature to it that, I personally have not seen this in any of the other software packages that I actually use. Although in different software packages that you use for technicals, they'll allow you to create a group. The difference is when I create a group in AIQ, you can actually chart the group. And this is fantastic. And so, the metal ores industry group, again, it's a more of a broad industry group. It's one of the, of course, the mining ores industry group is one of William O'Neill's industry groups. And we're going to show how William O'Neill's industry group, of course, gave us the buy signal, broke the trend line, moving averages in proper order, 20-day closing high with the volume. Gave you a nice little buy signal. From there, the group gained about 23%. And by the way, and again, this is telling me a lot about this market right now. The powerful mining ores group, which includes a lot of good stocks, actually gave a sell signal. What is a sell? This is a good time to bring this up. What is a sell signal for me? A 20-day closing low. Simple as that. That is a drop dead sell signal for me in the industry group. And once the industry group goes to a sell signal, I'm done. I am done with that industry group. It's got to totally reset again and give me another buy signal in the group. But what's interesting, and this is where I want to bring this up, because we can just talk in the general sense of a metal ores industry group, but you can really break this out. Within metal ores, you've got a number of groups or these subgroups that I actually have been able to create because of AIQ. And I've been using this for years to do this, and it's fantastic. Is in this particular case, I created uranium. And uranium actually has given us a 20-day closing high here, a 20-day closing high here. Look at the volume that came into uranium too. And so breaking this out with uranium, and then we got another 20-day closing high here. Now, again, our signal came as soon as we were really breaking the trend line here from the first 20-day closing high. And really, uranium, breaking it out, actually overperformed the metal ores group in general. I wouldn't have been even able to detect that if I wasn't able to break this out and actually break it into these subgroups. One of the stocks that it was just a recent buy in the newsletter. In 4 days, once it broke and gave its 20-day closing high, once it broke in 4 trading sessions, it made a 26% return. Now, again, look at how this market's really turning down and affecting these stocks right now. Hasn't gone into a sell signal yet, and possibly could be trying to do a throwback here into its major trend line. We'll see how it all plays out. But again, this is telling you a lot about this market right now. A powerful looking stock with this kind of volume has totally turned down at this point. And again, so goes the leaders, so goes the market. And these should all be very, very big indications to people right now. Here's another breakout group from the metal ores, aluminum. Once aluminum gave the buy signal, about a 20% return from the buy signal. Here was your volume on the buy signal day. Throw back into the trend line, kind of gave you a couple of ups and downs here. But during that process, you actually had some great market leaders. So right after that, so your buy signal was on February 9th. On February 9th, the same day, Century Aluminum, CENX, gave you a tremendous buy signal on the very same day, and about a 65% return in 17 days. Look at this recently, though. The breakdown, the 20-day closing low. Again, telling you something about this market right now. Aluminum, which I should have showed right here too with the chart. Look at the whole aluminum group gave you a sell signal. So again, aluminum out. And these great leaders out right now. Lithium, this another breakout group from the metal ores. Now this lithium gave you a couple of different trades. This one actually goes back to September, where it actually gave me on September 2nd, it gave a beautiful buy signal 20-day closing high. Look at the volume that came in, broke the trend line, moving averages in proper order. From there, away she goes, up about 78%. Where did I go at that time? Now, this was in September. Where did I put this in the newsletter at that time? Lithium Americas, LAC. Bought LAC at the very, on its buy signal, right at just between 21 and 22, wrote it all the way up to my Fibonacci numbers at 39.20. That was the total on that was about an 81% gain on that. Again, that was off the buy signal in the lithium industry group. And again, we're breaking these things down into subgroups. You can do this using, of course, AIQ. You can break these things down into these subgroups. I absolutely love this. Here's more recently. Lithium again gave us another buy signal in mid-March or so. March 21st gave us a buy signal. Now that one wasn't as powerful though, but we got about a 25% gain in lithium during that time. But still during that time, the leader at that time was Sigma Lithium. So you got the buy signal on Sigma Lithium on March 17, a couple of days before the buy signal on this. And again, you don't want to jump in until you do get confirmation from the industry group. But even waiting for confirmation from the industry group gave about a 70% return in 17 trading days on that. And actually, SGML is actually still looking okay. And but the lithium industry group, as you can see, has now also given us a 20-day closing low. Here is, again, where I was able to break this thing down into subgroups. And it opens up something that, a lot of people may not even realize. I was talking earlier, I had mentioned that, coal was a cousin stock for the steel industry group. Well, the only way that I knew that was by breaking coal up into two sub-industry groups. So this is the entire industry group that gave a buy signal on January 12th, okay? And you got a really nice buy signal, got a throwback into your trend line, really nice move up from January, and looked really good. But when you break this apart, you understand that this whole move in coal did not come from one type of coal stock. And this is what you find out. So again, the whole industry group had about a 57% return from its January 12th buy signal. But if you break this out, where that return started, the most powerful part of that was from the coal stocks that I was able to break out into a subgroup called coal metallurgical. And again, the metallurgical coal is the coal that's used as coke in the process of steel. And that industry group, not only that, that industry group, the previous year, last year, that industry group was up huge. And we were buying stocks in that industry group even last year out of metallurgical coal, all based on the steel move. And then we got another buy signal once it based. It based from November, December, and halfway into January, got another buy signal throwback and a move up nicely from metallurgical coal during that period. And again, stocks that I was buying in that, put in the newsletter, things like Warrior Metallurgical Coal, HCC, from my buy point, rallied right up into my Fibonacci target numbers, about a 51% return on that. The other one I bought was Alpha Metallurgical Resources. This one was up really nice, 81% in 24 trading days, rallied right into my Fibonacci target number on that one too. But here's the thing. After that group, right around the time, let's go back to the metallurgical group again. So metallurgical, so you got your buy signal on January 12th. And by the in about the first or second week of March, the metallurgical stock started to peter out, okay? But the industry group didn't peter out. The industry group kept moving on. Why was it moving on at that point? Because at that point, power generation coal stocks started to take over. And as a matter of fact, they were dead through all of 2021. And they exploded out of a very nice base. And just about the time when metallurgical was starting to fade, about a week before, you had a buy signal from power generation stocks. This group, in a short period of time, had an amazing, powerful move, up about a 45% gain from its buy signal in a very short period of time. That, again, if you didn't break this out in coal, you wouldn't really be able to see where coal was coming from. By the way, what's interesting about, I say I love these trend lines like this. And again, one of the things I love to do with trend lines is establish where target areas are in price by drawing trend lines over the price, and can get a very good sense of where target areas are coming from. And of course, that's where the power generation stocks actually just recently topped out at. I do have to tell you though, these stocks are even looking very, very powerful. Even the last couple of days, they've been bouncing back a little bit here with this market looking horrible. But BTU, Peabody Energy, gave a buy signal in a short period of time, 33 days. That was up 60%. The other one, the other leader was Consol Energy, CEIX, up about 50%, 58% in that period of time. And by the way, this one, if you notice, gave a buy signal. And again, here's all the rules. Actually, that was beautiful bow tie on that too. So the moving averages were bow tying right on the buy signal, breaking the trend line. But what's interesting is the group didn't give a buy signal until right here on the stock. And even waiting for the group signal, you still got a 58% return on the stock, okay? Another stock that I recently put in the newsletter in this group, on the pullback here, a beautiful pullback into the double throwback into this trend line here. Right now, what I'm waiting for, it's been fighting with its 4.44 number. We break that 4.44 number, and we could be looking for this stock to go up into these areas again. As long as this group does not give us a sell signal, this stock is definitely still in play and looks actually incredibly strong. The shippers, very interesting. Again, we could talk about transportation ship stocks, and we're not getting the full feel of what's going on out there. As a matter of fact, it became a little more difficult if you're using IBD's 197 industry groups in this particular case, because the dry bulk shippers, which by the way, had the fantastic return last year, for the really great return. In my newsletter, I had everything from Panel, PANL, to Eurodry. Those were different stocks I had in there. Great returns in the dry bulk area. That was where all the potential was coming from in shippers. And what's interesting is in the most recent attempt of dry bulk, gave the buy signal, proper order. You had 2 different days right here, above average volume, broke did a beautiful throwback into the trend line and gave you about a 25% return before dry bulk actually started. Look at how dry bulk for really most of March and into April was really going sideways. And as a matter of fact, you kind of did a throwback into the broken trend line and started already coming down on dry bulk. Dry bulk was not where the most recent strength was coming from. Again, if you were really breaking this stuff out, but again, this was a little more difficult from this one because where you had to look in this particular case was oil and gas, transportation, and pipeline industry group for IBD. Inside of that group, you would find the shippers that were oil and LNG shippers, which I broke out. And this is where the most recent powerful move has come from. So again, as we were starting to peter out here in March, dry bulk, it was on February 24th, we got our buy signal in oil and LNG stocks, the shippers, and those things now are up 42%. And by the way, yeah, you got a little pullback here, but I got to tell you, these LNG shippers have not stopped. One of them that I put in the newsletter was Ardmore Shipping, ASC. Now, at the writing of this, it was up 34%. But if you look today, even on how this market is acting, it was up another, I think towards the end of the day, it was up about 14% and may have closed up about 12 to 13% by the end of the day. This stock is still busting out. And again, this is shippers, but this is not dry bulk. This is oil and LNG. And these stocks are still looking very, very strong in this area. Okay. Gave your beautiful buy signal on March 21st, put it in the newsletter, and away she goes. Now, I said in the beginning that I was going to talk about this idea that Jesse Livermore addressed called tandem stocks. And in this particular case, you know, we've been hearing a lot lately about the whole idea that, you know, we might get these Russian cyber attacks and the computer software security stocks, you know, could be a place to go. Everyone's talking about it. I got news for you. The computer software security, as far as from, you know, in the IBD industry group, has not given a buy signal. And as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, it actually gave a sell signal. So there is really nothing in that group as far as I'm seeing. Now, that doesn't mean that Tenable doesn't look good and CrowdStrike doesn't look good, although CrowdStrike actually just recently gave a sell signal too. Tenable still seems to be holding up. But again, I'm not going to be buying those stocks if the industry group is not giving me a buy signal first. But here's what's interesting is breaking the group out again. There were two stocks, and by the way, both of these stocks are recent IPOs, which I absolutely love. So this more fits the idea of a tandem group, and I called this group background check security software. So these two stocks are lost in this big industry group that is really not doing anything. But these two stocks are showing up tremendously right now. And I do have to highlight the fact that this industry group on some very nice volume broke its trend line, 20-day closing high, beautiful volume, proper order of the moving averages, and this thing's already starting to move ahead. The two stocks, and again, haven't even put this in the newsletter yet because they're still kind of setting up. And again, with this market breaking down, I'm not prepared to put this out there yet, but just as an example of the different things I'm always looking at and using this idea of tandem stocks, two stocks, Higher Right Holdings, HRT is a background check stock. Look at this thing, how it's setting up. You've got, this was your 20-day high with the volume. Beautiful throwback into the trend line. And here's my projected numbers on it. my Fibonacci expansion numbers. The other one is Sterling Check Corp, STER. Same thing. It's a background check stock. Beautiful. We've now done the throwback, and I've already set it up for where the projected numbers are. Still waiting on these, though. We want to still see how these stocks set up. But that's the areas I'm always looking at. And right now, there might be some potential there, but understand that for the big group itself, I do not see potential at this point. So kind of interesting. And again, it allows me to do this by focusing on these breakout subgroups. Is really allows me to see what kind of price action is going on. Quickly, I want to finish up here and talk about laggards. You know, and again, and again, the definition of a laggard is the bottom of the list in the IBD, the worst relative strength in CAN SLIM. You know, but the whole idea there is, and again, a lot of this is going to have to wait for another day. But you know, again, laggards for me first start out with, you know, there's no doubt a 20-day closing low ends everything. Now, other ways to identify this, though, and you know, a lot of these tops happen in this kind of form that you actually see these things, of course, called head and shoulder tops. And what we're looking at right now is the Semiconductor ETF. This is something I actually just recently put in the newsletter. Actually, on Monday, we bought this. We bought the opposite of this 3 times to the downside. I'm not sure, were we up about 5% today? And I think we were up about 12, 13% on it already yesterday. But these are my price projections where I actually see the semiconductor, the SMH, actually heading down to these levels at this point. And in this, you know, the topping process of laggards is a whole process that these things go to also. And this thing has followed the format beautifully. So, you know, as institutions are peeling out of this stuff, you see these attempts at the 50-day moving average where institutions were buying against on the way up. Now they're selling against on the way down. And of course, what does this end up with? An inverted cup and handle that we actually got a 20-day closing low on this, and that's what sparked the trade for me. So on Monday, we were taking advantage of this move higher, and like I said, yesterday had a really nice move lower. What we were actually buying, what I put in the newsletter, was the direction daily semiconductor bear 3 times to the downside, and so again, we just get to go long, and today. Was able to take advantage of this. We pulled back to the 56.95 fib area, and it pulled back beautifully to this. Bought some more shares today, and now we're riding it up to our next Fibonacci targets. And that is pretty much all I've got for today. Again, if you want to get a hold of me or take a closer look at my service, Trading Floor Research, go to tfrtrader.com, or you know, you can contact me, david.wozniak at tfrtrader.com.